Hi, my name is Aya. You're watching Aya Reads, and I'm here to do a 48-hour reading vlog where I read the spiciest books that I own. The plan is to read Priest by Sierra Simone. So this is both spicy and taboo because it's a priest romance. And I do know that Sierra Simone is a erotica author, so I haven't read anything by her, I don't think. So this is gonna be my first Sierra Simone. Then I really want to read Puck Shy by Kayla Gross. So this is the second book to Trick Shot, which at the time I thought it was just a standalone, but this is the sequel and I'm very excited about it. You follow the brother from one of the guys in that book, and maybe I think also the sister of the female character from that book, I think. And I also really want to read The Best Man by Sam Mariano. So this, I believe, is just an unhinged book. And this one I actually picked for my TBR in the TBR jar, so very excited about this one. If I have time, which I honestly don't think I will because these are, like, this is one full-length book and 2 novellas, but if I have time, I also want to read either Eyes on Me, which is the second book in the Salacious Players Club, or Learn My Lesson, which is the second book in the Wicked Villain series by Katie Robert, or My Dad's Best Friend, which is, I believe, the third book in Katie Roberts' Touch of Taboo series. So I have a lot of spicy goodness to read. On the first day, I don't really have a whole lot going on, so I know that for sure I can read a whole lot, except I do need to clean my house. And then the second day, I do have to go to Rotterdam, which is about an hour and a half from where I live in Amsterdam, to get my eyebrows done, actually. But so I can read a lot on the train. So we're gonna see how that experience is gonna be of me reading very, very spicy books on the train. Obviously, I cannot vlog a whole lot of my experience of that. It depends on how busy the train is. So we're gonna see. Hopefully I can read a lot. Hopefully I can read the first 3 I talked about. And if I can read more than that, then that would be perfect. So without further ado, let's continue with the vlog. So I just finished Puck Shy, which actually I am not on schedule because I started this reading vlog on 9 o'clock this morning and already it is 3 o'clock. And this is only like a 200-page novella. So it usually doesn't take me that long to finish a book this short. But I have, like, this is just the wrong time for me to do this vlog, I realize, because I am distracted by all the Taylor Swift content. She just released her album yesterday, and I already listened to it twice yesterday. And now all the reactions are coming in. And I think I told you in a previous video that I'm kind of obsessed with watching, especially men of all ages react to her songs. So that is what I keep doing. But yeah, the last couple of hours I have buckled down and finished it. My next read is going to be Priest by Sierra Simone. I'm going to start that. Let me see how many pages that book has. It's also on ebook. Oh yeah, I didn't even tell you anything about Puck Shy. Let me just see how many pages this book has. Okay, this doesn't have any pages here. Okay, I hate it when some ebooks do that. Okay, let me go to Goodreads then. It has 354 pages. Okay, so Puck Shy is technically the sequel to Trick Shot by Kayla Gross. And Trick Shot was this holiday novella, and Puck Shy is supposed to be like a Valentine's Day novella, but really only, like, they meet on Valentine's Day. But other than that, it really doesn't have anything to do with Valentine's Day. You follow Lucas, who is Leo's brother from the first book, and you follow Stevie, who's Riley's sister from the first book. And Lucas is this very famous hockey player, and he's dabbling in acting as well. And she has always been a big fan of his, and especially now that her sister is dating his brother, she kind of wants to meet him, and, you know, she's just been fangirling. But what she does on the side is go to this, like, sex club, or a sex party technically, where she gets paid to do scenes. And he has been kind of sucking on the ice, so his teammate brings him to one of those parties, and there he has this wild, crazy, sexy interaction with her, and he actually takes part in one of her scenes. And she knows who he is, obviously, since she's been obsessing over him, but also since he's so famous. He doesn't know who she is. And then a day later, I'm pretty sure they meet each other when her sister and her partners are in town, and they get introduced, and that's when he finally realizes who she is. He wants to start a relationship right away, but she is a commitment phobe. She doesn't think she's good at relationships. Also, she's a plus-size girl, which I like the way Kayla discussed that in this book, that yes, she has some insecurities about that, always has, but when she's doing scenes and she feels desired in this club, she kind of forgets all those insecurities. And also she thinks that he, even though he was willing to take part with her in this scene, she doesn't think that he would be willing to live that lifestyle, because if she has a partner, she wants them to be okay with her, you know, going to these sex clubs and having sex with randos. Eventually, she starts working for him and they decide that they're just going to be that and nothing more. But of course, that doesn't stay that way. This is only a novella. It's 200 pages. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. It was really hot. It was almost as hot as the first book, but I did enjoy the first book more, because I did feel like, okay, so the first book, it took them a little bit before they got in the sack. And I felt like that was a more natural progression of their relationship. Whereas in this book, their first scene together is them having sex. And then she kind of has to backtrack for it to, even though this is a smutty novella, obviously you cannot have 200 pages full of smut if you want it to be a romance, as opposed to erotica. Like, they have to actually also develop their relationship. So there's a big part in here where they decided that they're just friends and that they're not together. And then there's also a sort of like a third act conflict too. So I felt like that was just too much of other things going on. Also a lot about her and what she wants to do in life, and about him and how he wants to go on with his career now that he's a little bit older and his body is in pain constantly. As much as I do enjoy those conversations in regular books, especially if it's a sport romance and it's an older character about what he's going to do when he inevitably can't play anymore, I just don't enjoy it in a novella that's only 200 pages and it's supposed to be like a smutty novella. Then I would have preferred a full-length novel. Having said all that, the sex scenes were very hot because there's a lot of scenes with them sharing her, especially with other people. So there's like FFM scenes, FFFM scenes, MFM scenes. So it just runs the gambit. Caleb Ross does know how to write smut. I mean, I knew that from the first book. So if I was ranking just the smut, it would be a very high rating. But obviously, I'm looking at more than that. So 3.5, I will rate it a 4 on Goodreads. I would recommend it, especially if you really love Trickshot. I would say definitely check this book out. The characters from Trickshot do make an appearance in this book, so that is fun as well, seeing them. So yeah, but like I said, it did take me a little bit to read, and that is because there are other things going on. But I'm gonna be starting Priest now. It has about 25 chapters, so hopefully I can also finish it tonight. That would be fantastic. Maybe I can actually read. Like if I manage to finish this today, then I think yes, like tomorrow I will have a little bit more time. I think I might be reading more than 3 books. We'll see. For now, Priest. It's a very, very taboo priest romance, so I'm very interested to read this one. Since this is a full-length book, I think I'll update you once I'm about halfway through. Okay, so it's 9:20 now, so I've been reading for over 12 hours, and so far I've read 331 pages. So honestly, I'm doing well considering I've also been distracted by things. Right now, I'm on page 128 of Priest. I just finished chapter 9, which... that was a really, really, really hot chapter. So Priest, for those of you who don't know, it's about this priest named Tyler Bell. So he became a priest 3 years ago because his sister committed suicide years ago when she was molested by, I believe, a priest as well. He stepped away from the church and wasn't religious for a while. He actually was very sexually active, and then 3 years ago he decided that he found God and he became a priest. So he's like I believe he's 29, and then one day this woman comes in his life and just tempts him in all the ways. So her name is Poppy. She confesses in the confession booth and he's pretty turned on, and then when he sees her he's even more turned on by her. So she's from a very rich family and she left that life behind to become a dancer at this strip club, and the reason she's confessing is because her ex one day came to that strip club and had sex with her even though he was married, and she liked it. She didn't feel bad about it at all. And now Father Tyler Bell, like I said, he's been tempted by her, and they've had 2 very, very hot sexual encounters. So far, I'm really liking it. I do have to say, yes, he is trying to not go very far, but he's not trying very hard, in my opinion. Like even like the second time he likes her, and that is obvious. Also, one thing about this book, it's in single point of view and it's from his point of view. So we rarely see that. Usually if a book is single point of view, it's usually from the female perspective. So I do like that we actually see his perspective and only his perspective. Yeah, like I said, he's not trying. Like I don't feel like he's trying very hard. Yes, during their sex scenes, he's like, okay, let me just like put the tip in. I don't know why, for some reason I find that very hot. But yeah, they're both very attractive and attracted to each other. And once again, like she's like going out of her way to tempt him, which I mean, good for you, because he does sound like a very, 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 very hot priest. I'm like about 30% of the way through and I'm really enjoying it. Sierra Simone is an amazing author. I do like, apparently she was Catholic, so like all the Catholic references in here. I'm flying through this book, and yes, the sex scenes, I never doubted it, but they are very great. Like she obviously knows how to write sex scenes. She's a erotic romance author, and it definitely shows. I'm very interested to see what else is gonna happen. So far they haven't had full sex yet, so maybe that will be the next chapter, or the next scene of them. And it's clear that like the people around him, like it's him who wants to stay a priest and wants to stay celibate. His parents were not on board with him becoming a priest. Like the people around him, like his congregation, I guess, is also like, I think they would be fine if he wasn't celibate anymore, or if he wasn't a priest anymore. And I mean, you can still be like a part of the church without being celibate. I know that. I think, I mean, is that true for Catholicism? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. But I am enjoying it. I do have to say, probably if you are very Catholic, you might be offended by this book, but since I'm not, I am very much enjoying it. And yeah, it is very hot. It's also obviously very taboo because he's a literal priest, but yeah, definitely very hot. So far, I'm enjoying this more than Pakshai. So far this feels like at least a 4 or 4.5, so I'm definitely enjoying it. So I have like 3.5 hours or 2.5 hours left to read today. I don't want to stay up too late because obviously I still have the whole day to read tomorrow, and I'm gonna be traveling a lot, and all my books for this vlog are gonna be on ebook, so I'm gonna be reading a lot in public transportation, which is awkward, but at least nobody can see what I'm actually reading. So I believe I have a solid 2.5 hours to do nothing but read tomorrow. So I for sure will finish this book, hopefully early tomorrow, and then I can start another book, which I forget which book that was. Oh yeah, The Best Man. That I'm sure is going to be unhinged, but unhinged in the best way. So yeah, 331 pages today. I will give you an update tomorrow morning and tell you how many pages I ended up reading today. Okay, so I thought let's try another angle. This is actually my bookshelves with my bookshelf with my favorite books. Anyway, maybe one day I'll do a bookshelf tour and you can see every bookshelf of mine. But this is usually I film on the other side, so you see all the black bookshelves. So usually the camera is in front of this one. You rarely get to see this one, so let's film in front of it. Moving on, that's neither here nor there. I finished Priest, which means that so far, well, yes, actually, let's talk about yesterday first. So I ended up reading 353 pages yesterday, which is a lot for me. So even though I was distracted by Taylor Swift, I still read more than I usually do, so that is great. So far today, I've read 197 pages. I don't know if I can exceed what I read yesterday. Anyway, in total, I've read 550 pages so far, so that is great. So like I said, I finished Priest, and I did definitely enjoy it. I ended up giving it 4 stars though. While I was reading it, I was debating because it definitely didn't feel like a 5-star for me, but I was debating between a 4 and a 4.5. At the end of the day, especially the ending solidified the 4-star for me. So I did enjoy it. Like, it was a very like taboo, smutty good time. The sex scenes were immaculate. Like, I loved how he was very, very dominant, and that is something that is true to his character, and she was submissive, and that was true to her character as well. I loved the versatility of the sex scenes, and I loved, because that is very important for erotic romance, that the sex scenes did move the plot forward and it did move their relationship forward. Some things I didn't really love though, which prevented it from me giving it 5 star, one thing I have mentioned before is, yes, he was kind of trying to stick to his vows, but I mean, he was not really trying. If he had resisted a little bit, I don't know if that would have made it 5 stars for me, but it did bother me a little bit how he was so quick to forsake his vows. And so, okay, so at the end of the day, their relationship lasted 3 months, and he talked about love very, very early on, like I believe after like 6 weeks, which I can believe that if I actually saw what made you fall in love with her. So that is usually a problem with single point of view. I usually get on board easily if a book is dual point of view, because you get to see them falling in love. Like, you get to see both sides falling in love. If you have a single point of view, then I need to actually see them falling in love. And that just didn't happen in this case. Like, yes, you got to see their sex, which I never doubted their sexual chemistry at all. I never doubted that they were lusting after each other. But at one point he was telling himself, and therefore the reader, everything he loved about her. The fact that she also loved The Walking Dead, the fact that they had these beautiful conversations together, that she was smart, stuff like that, which, yes, I understand that the fact that she has a degree from Dartmouth, stuff like that, that she is a smart woman. But I would have loved to see those quiet moments. I would have loved to have a scene of them watching The Walking Dead. I would have loved to have a scene with them actually discussing something like about that, both of their interests, like the fact that they love these old languages and stuff like that. And we never got to see that. And I don't know, I have not read a whole lot of erotic romance, so maybe that is just true for the genre. But since it's not an erotica, it's an erotic romance, and I do need to believe in that romance, and at the end of the day, I just didn't. Like, do I believe they'll have a beautiful, long-lasting relationship together? Yes, I guess, but I never actually, like, when they said the words, "I love you," I just didn't really believe them. And I think the reason for that is what I just explained, that we never really got to see the quiet moments. I did really love the writing. Like, her writing is poetic almost. Like, she has some beautiful, beautiful lines in this book. So I cannot wait to read more by Sierra Simone. I cannot wait to read the rest of these books in this series. Sinner is about his brother and a nun, and then Saint is about a monk. One of his brothers, I think will be a monk, and then it's his relationship with his ex. I'm very excited about both those books. I enjoyed myself, definitely, and since I don't know anything about Catholicism, this was like, I don't know if Catholics will like this, but this was like a great education for me about Catholicism. Like, I learned a lot. And yeah, I understand why people enjoy this book, and I like how you get to have a taboo that is not like a very big age gap. Usually, if you read a taboo romance, it's usually because one of the characters is underage. And I like how in this case, it was taboo because he was a priest, but other than that, if he had any other profession, this would not be a taboo romance, and I guess I like that aspect of it. And I guess, and obviously in this case, I'm not offended because I'm not a Catholic. So yeah, overall I did enjoy it. I have a feeling other books in this series are going to be my favorite. Another thing, but I don't want to spoil it, so I'm going to be a little bit vague about it. The way the third act conflict happened was very... I didn't like what happened in the third act. The reason the third act happened was because of Tyler being a little bit passive. I mean, I get it, there was a lot going on in his life, but I feel like in the third act, they are not together for a significant portion, which, yes, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like on the one hand, I like it because Poppy was afraid of. At the end of the day, he can say for 100% that he made this decision because he wanted to and not 100% because of her. But then on the other hand, I feel like it was like very like easy, well, not easy, like, I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly. So she does something to push him away, and I feel like everything had to line up perfectly for her plan to work, and then coincidentally everything did line up perfectly. I don't know if this would happen if this was not a fictional story, which kind of took me out of the story. Having said all that, I did enjoy it. It is a 4-star. I feel like Sierra Simone has the potential to become a favorite author. Sierra Simone has the potential to give me a lot of 5 stars, so I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm gonna move on to The Best Man, which I don't know. I'm gonna refrain from giving you the actual synopsis after I read it. In my head, I feel like this is about a woman who's engaged to somebody, and then on her bachelorette party, and on his bachelor party, the brother-in-law, who's also the best man, gives her like an amazing sexual experience with every single member of their family, I think. I mean, that is just unhinged behavior right here. We'll see if that's actually the case. I think since this is only a little bit over 100 pages, let me actually see. Already I'm seeing that she has some Taylor Swift songs in her playlist, which good for you, Sam. Okay, so this only has 128 pages, 124 pages technically. So I think I'm just gonna read this whole thing and then give you my thoughts once I finish it. Sam Mariano, I've only read Untouchable by her, but I thought that book was amazing. So I know I already love her writing, and I kind of trust her with unhinged stories. So yeah, I'll just update you once I finish it, and then I'll just finish this vlog because right now it's 7 o'clock. I don't think I'm gonna read anything else for this vlog. If I have time left this evening, I will just read my other books because I still need to finish a book that I started before this vlog that I'm not really that into, and I want to make a dent in Kingdom of Ash, which is my reread for the month. So yes, I'll see you in my last clip where I'll give you my thoughts on The Best Man and finish off this vlog. Okay, so it is 10:30 at night and I finished The Best Man. So The Best Man was what I thought it was. So you follow Jessa, and she is getting married to her fiance tomorrow, and she just had like a horrible bachelorette party. So she came to his house and just wanted to sleep there, and then she hears her fiance and basically his bachelor party come into the house, and then his brother, the best man, comes into the room, sees that she's there. He tells her that he wants to have this surprise for her future husband where he'll tie her up, and then because her husband always had this fantasy of fucking this anonymous woman, that he wanted to give that to him, like have him fuck her in the complete dark and then pretend that she's this mysterious woman. So he ties her up, puts a ball gag in her, and then instead of collecting her future husband, he instead okay, so her husband has 5 brothers, I think. No, 4 brothers, including the best man. So instead of having her husband fuck her, he decides to bring in his dad and each and every one of the brothers to come in and fuck her. They don't know who is lying there. They think it's like some mysterious escort, but she obviously knows who they are. So basically the first 5 chapters is just her getting fucked by the best man plus either the dad or any of the other brothers. Okay. So that is only the first 5 chapters, and then after that it's like their sort of romance, because this is a romance and not just an erotica. Okay, so I end up giving this book 2 stars, and it's not because of what I just explained. Strangely enough, I just thought, okay, I knew what I was signing up for, so I knew it was going to be unhinged, and I knew that was the plot, or that was part of the plot. What annoyed me in this book and why it got 2 stars was everything after that. Like after that one night, it just was so like the worst case of insta-love you've ever seen. Like I can believe that he has loved her while she was dating his brother, but he never really explains that. Plus, she was in a committed relationship, and even though she knew that he was hot, like we never got the impression that she was secretly in love with him. So they got together so fucking fast, like lightning fast, when all they did was have this night together. So that is annoying. Only like the first 50 pages is of that night, and then the rest, like 75 pages, is of them like being happy together, even though I did not believe in their romance. Like first of all, I don't think they're gonna stand the test of time. Even though he constantly says, you know, I'm a one-woman man, and once I know I want somebody, she's mine forever. Whatever, I don't believe that. Also, I don't understand why these two are in love with each other, except for the fact that they're both hot and they like the same kinks. That is it. Like, I don't know. We never got to see them lovey-dovey or really get to know each other or anything that spans some time, because this whole book technically only takes place during 2 days. and they already have their HEA in this novella. I mean, I know with novellas, you don't have the pages, but there are some tools you can use to indicate a passage of time, and she didn't utilize any of that. Like, even the epilogue takes place, I believe it takes place like 2 months after or something like that. Like, it's not that long. So yeah, I can see why people like this. And like I said, the first 5 chapters, even though they are unhinged, but I knew what I was signing up for, they were hot. Like, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, no, it's a 2. I cannot give it more than that because I did not believe in their romance. Anyway, moving on. I don't know if I would recommend it. I mean, if you have read Untouchable or like The Legacy of the Gods, then I guess I would recommend it. And I know on Goodreads, people have given this book some high ratings. Like, for example, Jen gave it 5 stars. Amber has given it 5 stars. Tiff has given it 4 stars. So some people really love it. It's just, this was just, like, should have either been just a smutty good time without an HEA, or like an HEA like in the future. Or like maybe a happy for now. Or this should have been a little bit longer. Or technically, like, she had over half of the book to try and give them some sort of happy ending. Maybe she should have just done it in another way. But then on the other hand, you wouldn't have seen how unhinged this main male character was, except you already saw how unhinged he was in the first 5 chapters. I'm just thinking, okay, maybe they could have done the same things. I don't want to spoil what happens after that night, but even if that all plays out the same, maybe after that, she could have given us like a 2 months later or 3 months later and see them on dates together or stuff like that. I don't know. But this just, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. I'm gonna give it 2 stars. I'm sorry, I was debating to a 2.5, but I mean, for what? I'm giving this book 2 stars solely because of like the first 5 chapters. So yeah. Moving on, I had a great time with these smutty novels. So overall, today I read 321 pages. And overall for this vlog, I've read 674 pages. So I finished Puckshy, Priest, and The Best Man for this vlog. Overall, my favorite was Priest. It was the only full-length novel. I did enjoy it. And Puckshy was a close second. The Best Man was not my favorite. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know by leaving a like if you did. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.